Hello and welcome to the webinar. Today we're going to be talking about the Junior Jumpstart. Our Get to College counselors will be covering what students need to do their end of their junior year to prepare for college admission and scholarships. Hi, I'm Brandy Lindell and I am from the Gulf Coast Get to College Center. I'm the Assistant Director and College Counselor. Get to College is a program of the Woodward Hines Education Foundation. We have 3 centers across Mississippi. I'm in the southern part of the state and the Gulf Coast, but we also have a Jackson Center and a center in Southaven. Best of all, everything we do is absolutely free. We offer personalized college counseling for students and parents. We assist guidance counselors with FAFSA filing and state application information. We also help students with resume writing, interviewing skills, and essay writing. Now, I would like for our presenters to introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is TJ Walker, and I'm the director of the North Mississippi Get to College Center in Southaven, Mississippi.
Hey everybody, my name is Charlie Herrington. I'm the assistant director for outreach. I'm also at the North Mississippi Get to College Center, and I'm glad to be here today.
Thank you, TJ and Charlie. Let me give you a few housekeeping details before we get started. This webinar is being recorded and you will receive a link for the recording on our YouTube channel for you to share with any other parents or counselors that might be interested in this information. It's a webinar, so we cannot see or hear you, but you may ask questions through the question and answer box through the webinar. If you have technical difficulties, I ask you to use the chat box and we will help you to the best of our ability. And without further ado, let me turn it over to TJ to start the webinar.
All right, let's do it. First of all, we just want to kind of remind everyone that junior year is a great time to start making a plan for college. If you haven't thought about it already, there's still time to plan and plan ahead. And our goal for today is to just outline some things that students need to be thinking about as they transition from junior year throughout the summer and into their senior year. We're going to outline some dates, some important dates, and we also want to just highlight some tools that will be very useful for students as they navigate the college process. So what I challenge parents, counselors, and other adults to do is just think about it. Many students are thinking at this point, they're juniors and they have time to get things done because they start the process next year. Well, actually the process starts this year. In just a few months, everything starts. And so what's on their minds at this point? For some students, nothing at all. College is in the far distance and they're just not motivated. For others, college is on their radar, but they really have no clue where to begin or what to do. For some students, they're extremely stressed out. They're concerned about ACT scores, SAT scores, early applications, honors college, money. Like, how am I going to pay for all these things? So it's bringing on a lot of stress. There's some students who feel that college is not an option at all because based on their current situations, they may feel that there's no way out and college is definitely not on their radar. Then you have some students who fall right in the middle. They're not highly motivated, but they're also not the student that's kind of not thinking about it. They do have it on their mind, but again, they just have no clue what to do. And so before we dive into all of these tangible action steps, before we highlight tools for success, we just want to kind of remind everyone that when we say the word college, we're not forcing students into a cookie cutter situation. College is going to have different forms. For some students, they will go to a 4-year school. Other students will go to a 2-year school or take up a technical trade. And then others will go directly into the workforce or even military. We realize that in a few years, a high percentage of all jobs is going to require some form of post-secondary education, a post-secondary credential. And so we just want to assist students with finding the best fit for them and the best fit academically, geographically, financially, and of course, socially. And so counselors, I kind of appeal to you guys, if time permits, maybe have some group presentations or have groups like us to come in and do presentations to give your students the ins and outs of what they need to be doing and also remind parents of what they need to be doing in the process. Parents, if you're sitting at home around the dinner table, I challenge you guys to have conversations with your students about what their plans will be after they transition from high school into the real world. Even if you don't know all the answers, even if you don't know where to look, I challenge you to just tap into resources like the Get to College centers that we have across the state. We have tons of resources available to you. And just by making that phone call or sending that email to us, we would gladly assist you guys with that process. So encourage your students to be proactive. Encourage them to do their research and use tools like Big Future or My Next Move or the net price calculator on college websites. And these are things that we're going to highlight shortly, but just challenging our students to kind of take an active role in this entire process. Another thing for parents to consider: what are your expectations for your child? Are your wants and needs clashing with what the student wants? Are you forcing your ideas on the student, and is it causing them to rebel? We see this often at our offices, or even when we do presentations. We see parents maybe forcing their ideas on the student, and sometimes there's just a conflict of interest. And so we challenge you to be open-minded as you have these conversations with your students, and attempt not to pressure them into a situation. Many times we hear the comment, well, Johnny needs to go to this college because Johnny likes to do this, so this would be a best fit for my child. And many times Johnny hadn't said a word. So we challenge you to kind of engage in conversations with your students to find what's going to be the best fit for your student. So we have here a slide that highlights some things to consider as you're having these conversations. So if you're a counselor, if you're a teacher, if you're a parent, or if you're just a community leader, or even if you're a student tuning in, these are a few factors to consider to find that academic, geographic, financial, and social fit. So the first bullet you see here, 2-year versus 4-year, just to kind of remind of the options that are available. So at the 2-year school, you have associate's degrees, you have technical programs, you have workforce development. And so for some students, that 2-year route may be the best option, depending on what the end goal is. If a student wants to be a doctor, then of course, yeah, they can go to a 2-year school, but they would definitely need to keep going. But for some programs, for some jobs and some career options, the student may only need a 2-year degree. And that's not a bad thing. That could be the best fit. For some students, of course, they may go off to a 4-year school, get a bachelor's degree, master's degree, specialist, or even a PhD. So it really just depends on what the end goal is to find what's going to be the best fit. The second bullet you see there, program offer. Not every college is going to have every major. And if a school does have a program that the student is interested in, how successful is that program? Are students getting jobs? Are they graduating? What's the job placement rating for that school? Do the schools offer internships and co-ops? And do those schools have opportunities for students to get plugged in and potentially find employment when they graduate from college? So asking those challenging questions to the college recruiters, or when you go on those college tours, just seeking out information about what happens when your student attends that school and what happens when they get ready to leave. The third bullet you see there is affordability. The cost of attendance at a college is going to be really important. What we see many times in our offices is students are dreaming the entire senior year about a certain school, and they're not really considering the cost. And so we challenge you to talk about costs, to seek out the cost, but also consider options for paying. So if you are looking at those websites, and we're going to show you guys a net price calculator result later, but if you are looking at those costs and you're kind of panicking about the numbers that you find, we want to highlight 4 different areas where your student can pay for it. Keep in mind, we have posted other webinars digging into the deep details of financial aid, federal financial aid, outside aid, Mississippi aid as well. So as you'll see here on the slide, this first area is outside aid. So this is money that comes from outside sources. We challenge students to talk to the counselors, look locally in the newspapers, check the local Facebook pages to see if there's any outside aid available to knock off that cost of attendance. The next slide will be college aid. And so this is money that the schools offer. So again, when you're having those conversations and you're concerned about costs, talking to that college recruiter about the money that's available from the school itself. A lot of those funds are going to be based on ACT, GPA, could be based on leadership. It could be based on them being involved in organizations like Phi Theta Kappa. And so if a student chooses to attend a community college and they have a certain GPA, they will be invited to join Phi Theta Kappa to potentially gain scholarships to transfer out to a 4-year school. Some of these college scholarships could be based on financial need, sports, auxiliary groups. So if a student is planning to go to a certain college, or if they're considering certain colleges, I challenge you to have those conversations with those colleges to see what they have available. The next slide will be federal aid. And so basically this is money that comes from the federal government in the form of grants, work study, and student loans. So Pell Grant is very common. There's FSELG, and there's also other grants and loans available. So the FAFSA opens in October 1st of the student's senior year. And so we challenge students to not opt out of federal aid because of assumptions. There are many students that discover that they would qualify for some federal aid. They simply do the FAFSA. The next one is going to be Mississippi financial aid. So in the state of Mississippi, our Mississippi students have opportunities available. So there are 3 grants that we typically highlight. There's one called MTAG. It's $3,000 for 15 ACT and a 2.5. There's also MESG, Mississippi Eminent Scholars Grant. It requires a 29 ACT and a 3.5, and it's $10,000, and that's $2,500 per year. And then there's the HILP grant that pays full tuition and fees for 4 years to any school in the state of Mississippi based on very specific criteria. And so if you're concerned about money, we challenge you to consider these 4 types of aid. If you don't know all the answers, ask questions, call on us, talk to the counselors, talk to teachers, so you can find out this information. So we'll keep pressing along with the other factors to consider. So size and student to faculty ratio, if you're trying to find that fit again, this is going to tap into that social aspect of it. Many students don't think that the size of a school matters, but it does. If you're a small town person like myself, where I graduated with 73 people in my graduating class, going from classrooms with 20 students to classrooms with 500 students was definitely a challenge. So again, when you're going to tour campuses, I'm checking out those classrooms to see if that's going to be a good fit for you. The next bullet you'll see is location. Location is important. Does a student want to go 5 hours away? Do they want to stay 30 minutes away? How is that going to impact the student's experience? It will impact it a lot. If the student is used to living in a rural area and they go to a school in an urban setting, that could be a challenge. If they're living in a big city, public transportation, just getting around campus could be a challenge for the student. So just considering what's it going to be like if that student does move off close to home or far away. The next bullet, extracurricular activities. So if the student is really involved now and wants to continue that in college, does that school have those resources? Student government, Greek life, sports, auxiliary groups, cheer, dance, theater, whatever the case may be. Also keeping in mind that some of those extracurricular activities could have scholarships available. So again, when you're visiting campus, check into those activities to see what kind of opportunities are available. And then lastly, we have housing, which is a big factor in the decision. Many colleges are going to send out brochures. You may even go on a tour when you check out the campus, but you want to be sure, how does the housing process work? What are the housing options? What are the deadlines for housing? Do you even like the dorms that they have on campus? So you definitely want to check out those things to see socially if that's going to be a fit. So just as a reminder, when you're navigating from summer going into the fall for your senior year, you want to think about these 4 things. Is it going to be a great academic fit, geographic fit, financial fit, and social?
All right, thanks, TJ. And so when I talk to students, I really want them to have a plan. My goal as a counselor here at Get to College is for your student to be successful. That's all I really want, is for your student to be successful. And in order to be successful, we need to have a plan. So for instance, I had a student last year and she wanted to go to Washington. And so when I asked her, why do you want to go to Washington? Where are you thinking about going to school? She said, I'm going to Washington because it's pretty. I said, okay. What school are you going to? Like, what's our plan here? And she said, I don't know where I'm going to school. I just really like Washington. Okay, do you have any family out there? Do you have any friends? No, I don't really know anybody. It's just really pretty. So that was it. That was the whole plan, was it's pretty and I want to be there. So to me, that's just not solid enough to go all the way across the United States. When we're thinking about college, we want to make sure that we set you up for the most successful path, so that we can get that degree and we can get you on to a good job and on into a good life and make sure that you're happy. So we've got a little bit of a timeline here. So if you're sitting there thinking, okay, Charlie, I know I need a plan, but honestly, like, I have no idea where I need to start. I don't know how to even begin to formulate a plan. Well, here it is. So this summer, as a junior, we've got a couple of things that we would think might be interesting to you. So, of course, you've already taken your ACT. If you're a junior, you took the ACT at school. If you were there, I hope everyone was there. But if you took the ACT already, that's awesome. Maybe you're good with your score, maybe you're not. And if you're not, guess what? We have some summer ACT workshops coming up at the Get to College Center. We also have workshops throughout the fall. So as a senior, you can continue working on your ACT and you can continue making that score go up. If you just go take the test on test day, you don't do any prep work at all, and you think, okay, my score is going to go up a point, maybe 2 points. If that's all you do is just show up and take it, then yeah, that's all you're going to get is maybe a point, if you're lucky, 2 points. But if you do prep work and you put in the time and you put in the effort, I promise you that score can go up 4 or 5 points. We've seen some big jumps. So I want to let you guys know that we do have those workshops, and they are free. So that's something that you can be working on all summer long, as well as in the fall, is preparing for those standardized tests. Now, why is the ACT important? Well, obviously it's important because you got to have an ACT score to get into college. Now, with that, when you're starting to apply for college, you're going to see that on the timeline of August 1st. So we'll talk about that in just a second after we cover the rest of summer. So making a list of potential colleges, that's also something, if you haven't started that, I encourage you to start a list, maybe 5 schools, maybe 10. Just have a list of schools that you're interested in, and what are we looking for on that list? What types of schools do we want to put on it? I encourage you to find schools that have the program that you're interested in. So if you want to be a nurse, then maybe find 10 schools that have really strong nursing programs. Or maybe you've grown up as a Duke fan your entire life, and you're like, Charlie, there's no chance I'm ever going to Duke. Well, guess what? You can put 10 schools on your list, and Duke can be one of those 10 schools. So you can put them, and then you can put a school that's closer to home and a school that's a little bit more realistic. But at least they're on your list so that you can start researching them and see what it takes to get in, what programs they have, if it fits your needs. Remember those 4 things that TJ talked about earlier. So start making that list, start compiling, start looking at some different schools. We have a really cool tool that we're going to show you in just a few minutes. It is a college search feature. It's on Big Future College Board. They're the people that run the PSAT and the SAT. So we're going to show you that search tool. They've got over 3,000 schools listed on their database, and you can compare and contrast schools. I really like it, and it links you directly to each college. So it's a really nice tool. Also, consider going on campus tours. Now, with that, I did used to be an admissions counselor. I was an admissions counselor for about 3 years, and usually summer tours are not the best time to go, and that's because there's a lot of construction on campus. There aren't a whole lot of students walking around, but it's very convenient for families, and sometimes you can kind of take a week-long vacation and maybe chain together several different campus tours at one time, and I totally understand that. Just be aware that campus will be a little bit different in the summer than it would be in the fall or in the spring. So you'll get to see campus a little bit different, maybe construction, maybe not as many students, not going to be classes going on. So just know that it's a little bit different atmosphere when things are alive during the school year and there are students around and classes are in session. So keep that in mind. Also, between the summer of your junior and your senior year, we encourage you to look for summer camps. Maybe you're interested in filmmaking. Guess what? University of Mississippi, right down the road at Ole Miss, they have a filmmaking session. It's a 3.5-day workshop, and all you do is go there and you learn how to make films. You can become an independent filmmaker. You actually have a chance to make a film, a short film, throughout that 3.5 days. That's pretty cool. Maybe it's the music industry that you're interested in. Well, Delta State, you may or may not know, has a really strong program. It's called DMI. It's the Delta Music Institute, and they have a summer camp that you can go spend a few days, and you can learn all about the music industry, the entertainment industry, and start kind of working your way into that and see if that program's a good fit for you. Maybe it's agriculture. Maybe it's something along the lines of something environmental. Mississippi State's going to be around there. They have several different programs. And then the University of Southern Mississippi, they've got marine biology. So if you're interested in that, it's going to be down in the south. So there's lots of different opportunities, and those are not anywhere close to all of them. But all across the state of Mississippi, there are summer camps that you can attend and find ways to see if the program you're interested in fits your needs And that way, again, like I said earlier, we can start making that plan so that we can be as successful as possible. Also, summer is a great time to start exploring scholarship opportunities. Now, they may not be open yet, but you can start looking to see what these scholarships are asking for. So maybe it's those private scholarships, that outside aid that TJ talked about. You're going to look at some of those big national databases like FastWeb or scholarships.com or Unigo, and you're going to start seeing, okay, this is what they're asking for. They're asking for an essay. They're asking for community service. They're asking for students who are leaders on campus. And you can begin working on those. Maybe you've already been working on that along the way and you're a step ahead of the game. But if you don't have a lot of community service or you haven't been involved in high school, then now's the time to start that. And you can begin as early as, August 1st, right when you get back to school in the fall. So keep that in mind. And then the net price calculator, that's something that TJ is going to show us, and it's going to give you your out-of-pocket expenses at each school. So maybe you take that list of 10 schools and you look at the net price calculator for all of those 10 schools. Summer is about 2.5 to 3 months. You can take a few days to work on that and figure out your finances at 10 schools. Or if you're like, dude, that's a whole lot of net price calculators. Okay, remember I said you could have a list of 5, totally fine with that. But again, we're formulating a plan. August 1st, so when the fall hits, guess what? It's time to apply for college. Sometimes students think I apply for college at the end of my senior year because that's when I'm actually going. No, we have to prepare. So at the beginning of senior year is actually when you're going to start those admissions applications. So August 1st is when most people are going to open their applications. Ole Miss is special. They open a little bit earlier. They're July 1st. But once that admissions application opens up, you'll be good to go. What do you need to send in? Let's talk about that really quick. So if you're looking at a public school and if you're looking at a Mississippi school, so let's look at our 8 public institutions. So that's going to be Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Delta State, Southern Miss, Jackson State, Mississippi University for Women, Alcorn, and Mississippi Valley. So those are our 8 schools. And they need the exact same things. All you need to send in is, first of all, apply. So go to their website, apply. They're going to have an application fee usually, so you'll need to pay that application fee. If you get a fee waiver, and if you pay for the ACT with that fee waiver, you can use that as an application fee waiver, so you don't have to pay those app fees. But apply, pay the fee, and then all you need after that is your official high school transcript. You get that from your high school guidance counselor, and your ACT or SAT scores. So it's 4 things. That's what they're looking for. Then if you're looking at a private school or maybe a more selective school, thinking private, if you need an example, Mississippi College or Belhaven, Millsaps, all of those are in the Jackson area here in Mississippi, but all private schools, they may ask for extra documents. They may want you to write an admissions essay. They may want some letters of recommendation. They may want your resume. They may even ask you to come for an interview. So those are some things that private schools are going to ask in addition to those other 4 that I just mentioned. October 1st, big day. October 1st is when the FAFSA opens, and it's also when the Mississippi application for aid opens. Now, here's something cool. You may or may not know this, but there are going to be FAFSA days all across Mississippi in each of our high schools. Get to College helps with that. We love filling out FAFSAs for students because we know that's such a big barrier. But it's a process that for some families, some parents, they sit down and they work on it and they say, man, that took me 2 or 3 hours. We can do it in about 20 minutes. So we want to help you guys with that. We have partners all across the state. So if we're not there, we've probably got a partner in your high school helping us out. And it's just something that we love doing. So let us help you with that and let our partners help you with that. And we can get that FAFSA. And the cool thing about Mississippi is that we can actually do our Mississippi aid right at the end of the FAFSA. It's linked. So we go straight to the Mississippi application and apply for MTAG, MESG, and the HELP grant all at one time, right after the FAFSA. In 30 minutes, you're done with both applications. How cool is that? And you're like, oh, that's really cool, Charlie. But it is really cool. I actually love it. So you may not love it yet, but you will, I promise, when you get there to FAFSA day. Also, around October, so this is not going to be the exact date, October 1st, but around that time, you're going to want to start working on scholarship applications, especially at the college aid level. So that was the second point TJ made. He made the point with outside aid and private scholarships. Then he said, we got some money that comes directly from the school itself. Well, those applications will start opening around October, maybe a little earlier, maybe a little later, but you got it around October. Work on all those scholarship applications. December 1st. So this is a popular scholarship deadline. So you'll see you'll have about 2, maybe 2.5 months to work on scholarships. Not every school is going to have that date specifically. You can see it's not hard line, it's not hard set. Some schools will set theirs in February. You'll see in April, that's actually popular for junior colleges and community colleges. So their scholarship deadline will be a little bit later in the year. So December 1st, keep that in mind for scholarship deadlines. Also, if you're applying with the common application, that early decision and early action, those are going to be due right around December 1st as well. So if you're wanting to apply and find out as early as possible, if you're applying to a selective college, then those are those dates. Early action and early decision will be around that time. March 31st, huge date. This is for all HELP grant students. It's the HELP deadline. So if you think you might be HELP eligible, and what does that mean? So 20 on the ACT, 2.5 GPA, take all the CPC requirements, which is the college prep curriculum. And so 2.5, 20 on the ACT, college prep curriculum, and make sure that your family meets income requirements. It is need-based. So you do have to get the Pell Grant, but that's the deadline. So we cannot miss the HELP deadline. March 31st, burn it into your mind if you think you might be eligible for the HELP grant so that we can make sure we get that done on time. April, I already mentioned that. It's also the deadline for your documents for the HELP grant. So you have to apply by March 31st and turn everything in by the end of April. And then lastly, coming up is May. So May 1st is National Signing Day. That's when you're going to start finalizing all of your decisions. It's also when you need to start thinking about orientation, so signing up for that and making sure that you make your final decision on where you're going to school and get everything set up so that you are ready to go. So orientation, get your classes scheduled, and also make sure that you got your housing taken care of. So this is a general timeline. Of course, this is not everything that you need to do. In order to kind of sit down and talk about each of your situations, come see us. All of our offices across Mississippi, we're open. We have counselors available. And we want to talk to you about your situation and make sure that we get you set up. So I'm going to pass things back over to TJ. He's going to cover some of our tools today. So thank you guys, and he's up.
All right, thanks, Charlie. All right, so tools for a successful junior jumpstart. The first one you're going to see is a net price calculator. And so this is one that we did just to give you guys an example. So typically when you're doing a net price calculator on a school's website, it allows you to put in information about the student, maybe their ACT score, their GPA. It may even ask some household income questions that would be very similar to the FAFSA. And then it spits out a result. And basically this is a mock award letter. So if you pay attention to the yellow arrow, it shows what the direct costs would be at this school. And direct costs basically will be things that the student has to pay. It's typically tuition, room, and board. So right at $18,000. Right below that, you're going to see books and supplies and other fees. These are things that the student would end up paying, but they're not mandatory per se. And so this overall cost for this school is right at $24,000. If you scroll down just a little bit, you'll notice the green arrow. And so it shows what kind of money basically the student has in the bag. They have right at $8,500. And so with all those numbers factored in, this student still owes $15,776. That's a big number. It can be scary, but we challenge students, we challenge parents, and even counselors and teachers to talk about these numbers, because if a student goes throughout their entire senior year just thinking they're going to go to this school and money's just going to fall out of the sky, that is not the case. So we encourage you to look at the numbers just so you have an idea or have a forecast of what kind of financial situation the student would be in at the school. All right. Next, if the student needs prep for ACT, ACT has launched the ACT Academy, and we have the website there on the right side. So it's academy.act.org. You can go in and do some free prep. If there are any students in our state that need assistance with ACT fee waivers, we do have some available at our offices. So please call us. Please come see us for ACT fee waivers. But ACT prep is available. We also do ACT prep workshops at our offices. So keep that in mind also. The next page will be Khan Academy. So this is some more test prep available to students. The website there again on the right, so khanacademy.org, where you can go in and just focus on certain subjects. If you know you struggle with algebra, or if you struggle with grammar, whatever the case may be, it has specific subjects that you can go in and practice on. Next, we have the college search tool, and you'll see again the website, bigfuture.collegeboard.org/college-search. And so you can go on here, and if you pay attention to the left side of that screen, you'll see filters. And so the student can put in their test scores, the type of school that they wish to go to. So if it's a large school, a small school, if they want to go 1,000 miles away from home, and basically all these different factors that the student may be interested in. Once they put those things in the filters, this spits out results, and it gives them a list of schools that match what the student is looking for. And on that list, the student can click on each school and dig a little bit deeper to find more information about each school individually. Next, we have My Next Move. So it's at mynextmove.org. So if the student is struggling with a career path or struggling with whatever they want to major in, they can go here and search careers and basically get a report on certain jobs. It shows them what the job would entail, what their duties would be, how much money they can make, and of course, how much education they need to go into certain fields. So this is really useful if there's a student that just kind of has no clue what they want to do. As far as a career path, we challenge you to check out My Next Move. Common App. So if there are students who are applying to selective colleges, or if you're looking at schools outside of Mississippi, some of those schools may require the Common App, and they typically require an essay. And so those essay prompts are available now. So if you go to commanapp.org, you'll see the full list of those essay prompts. And so we, like Charlie mentioned, we encourage you to plan ahead. Look at these essay prompts now, so it's not a big deal later. You have time to work on these things as you kind of transition throughout the rest of this year. And lastly, we just have a screenshot of our website. So we have tons of resources. I know we've talked about a lot of things today, and we've said some things that may not be crystal clear. And so if you feel that you're still kind of uneasy about everything, please go to our website. It's gettocollege.org. If you click on the resources tab, you'll see a drop-down menu where it shows just different opportunities for whatever situation you may be in. So if you're a high school counselor, you can click there. If you're a student, or if you're a teacher or counselor, you can click on professional development. You can also see our other webinars that we have under the What We Do tab. So this is a great resource, tons of resources available for you, videos, webinars, things you can download. So we challenge you to use us as a resource. So that's our website there again, gettocollege.org. Lastly, we have a link to our texting program. And so we realize it is 2018 and we text a lot. And so if students need that nudge every now and then, or even if you're a counselor or a parent and you want those reminders about what's going on, you can text and you can sign up to be on our texting program.
Thank you so much, TJ and Charlie. We are so glad you joined us for our webinar, and we hope that you stay connected to us, either through our website, making an individual appointment at the Get to College Center, or through our two-way text messaging. We hope you learned a great deal, and if you have any questions or need further follow-up information, please contact us. Thank you so much, and hope you have a wonderful afternoon.